to pull bad stuff out having to do with children, because it is a
probably
problem.
Don't move her.
But I cannot imagine him censoring Truth Social. That's more of a very political, and it's been a very big.
Good evening, viewing people. We've come to Thursday, a Thirsty Thursday. Hope you're all brewing nicely. This is the Brews at 10. On my left eye, I'm your host Lefty. You're all very welcome on the stream this evening. Let's brew this thing. Okay, JK was first in the chat there. Apparently there are two other Lefty shows on at the moment, but we don't compete, we're all in this together, of course. So Solidarity. I suspect I might know whom the other two are, and they could be having a conversation with each other as well. I'm sure quite a few of you know who I mean. In fact, I may as well just do a plug straight off the bat. I think you might be referring to No Justice, and of course Kevin Logan there. Great to see you in the chat though, JK. Flow Snake as well. Great early shout with the watermelons. Thanks a lot for that. We've got Morbius as well. Solidari-Tea. Of course. Great to see you. And Palestine flags there also. From more. So yes. The gravity is strong this evening, but whichever way... Nearly walked straight into a double entendre then. Whichever way you're being pulled this evening, thanks for joining me here. But no, of course, I'll be checking out Kevin Helena's stuff later on. So if you are watching back later on, thanks a lot for being here as well. Lefty Noughts, let's do this. Captain Barnacles. Is that from the Octonauts? That was is it a kids show? I don't might have to give us a hint on that one, Flo. Right, where was that, people? Of course. I'm obliged to start with some shameless self-promotion first of all. Please make sure that you've hit thumbs up on the stream. Give us a share around your social media if you do like as well. I'm very pleased also to give you a channel update. When I was last with you on Tuesday, we'd just gone past 4.7k subs, which is great. But now we're on 4.8, which is amazing. Bearing in mind, we only went over 4,000, around a week ago. And that's amazing, so thanks a lot for your support. There's lots of ways to support the channel in other ways as well. Super chats are open on the stream. If you've got something that you'd really like me to answer or to consider, please do use super chats or super thanks if you're watching back later as well. Thank you very much for all of your comments from subscribers and members and viewers on recent content as well. That's really helps us out on the algorithm, hence the extra subs. So it works, people. Great stuff. And we also have a great community here on the channel as well, with our marvellous members, whom I'll give a shout out to, as I always do at the beginning and towards the end of live streams. Thank you very much, everybody. We have slightly dipped under the 100 mark though, again, because around, well, exactly actually, pardon me, 10 people didn't renew the memberships since the last live stream. So this is the latest updated list, and we've currently got a goal, a target of 250. So thanks a lot, everybody, for your support there. Lots of familiar names on that list as always. Well, yeah, however long you've been with us, thank you very much. And let's open the chat there on the screen, so your good voices can be heard. Oh, Flo, I did get the reference. Well, that was I'll be honest, it was more of an educated guess, to be honest. That's going back some time. The Octonauts. With the Flo snakelets. The little Flo snakenets there. Oh, what a great family. Speaking of greatness, Morbius hitting the chat with a gifted membership. Let's update the tally there to 97. Awesome stuff, Mo. As always, thanks for your support. Solidari-Tea. Let's big up Mo in the chat, everybody. Drop sim. I thought it said dropism for a moment then. A new position on the political spectrum. As explains, you know, Professor Sir Dusty someone, you know, in a grey tweed suit. But no, seriously, thanks again for that, Mo. We'll kick off into proceedings in just a few moments or so, just while we warm up here. I do have something light-hearted queued up, of course. It's not all doom and gloom. As we get through the political mire, I like to have a laugh along the way, of course. Thanks to anyone who's just joined us as well. Please make sure you hit thumbs up as you do so. Great stuff. And now averaging around 200 viewers per stream, actually, which is great. Should have said as well. So what's on the agenda this evening? I'll just quickly go through that before we kick off. I'll be starting off with an update on a story we talked about on the last live stream. Won't give any spoilers away, but we talked about something pretty disgusting and underhanded that they did, and now something else has come out. Further evidence on a different topic. This time the topic of political corruption has come to light because of a great article that came out just yesterday, I think it was, so we'll be kicking off with that. Also, the nurses are threatening to strike. There's been the 5-day BMA strike course recently, or just finished actually. And Wes Streeting has, well, how can I best put it? He's made certain comments which not only expose what we all really know about him, that is his dislike for the unions, as well as paying doctors and nurses what they rightly deserve. Well, just the kind of warlike language, as it were, not even figuratively. Of course, I fully support these strikes. I'm sure that you all do as well. So a little bit about what's happening there. Updates on socialist politics and parties. Yes, I can now use that in the plural sense, in the mainstream sense, that is. Some updates on the Greens. They've got their upcoming leadership election, as well as just a couple of bits about the new, still unnamed, Your Party. That's not called Your Party. As well. But also there's been quite some reaction about Starmer's supposed announcement of recognising Palestine as a state. Now, we knew that he was going against the wishes of his, the lobbyers when he did that just a couple of days ago. So now we're already starting to see some pushback there. He really can't please anyone. He's, he's tried to play both sides, and now it's just come back and, it's blown up in his face. How is it put on the IT crowd? By Moss. Egg and his chin are in alignment. That's very bizarre timing there, Morbius, on that comment. I said IT crowd, and just as I said that, you commented it. Bizarre. It's like a real-time speech-to-text. Alan, thank you very much for joining us. Looks like you're up for air quotes Your Party as well. No, I will be honest with you, people. At this moment in time, I haven't actually registered myself. That wouldn't be contrary to the fact I'm already part of another grassroots socialist party. and again, that's a reason that I brought up in the past for not joining the Greens. I will go into Zach Polonsky and his campaign as well, because it's the final day before the voting begins, people, for anyone who's a Green member. But I am certainly considering it. That is signing up at your party. Asterisk footnote about the Green Party stuff I just mentioned. I did vote Green in the last general and local election, so I just, you know, I am a former Labour member as well under Corbyn, but I'd have very little time for campaigning and really getting involved, as far as I normally like to do in politics, shall we say. So that's why I didn't join the Greens. I will, of course, be doing my best to support both the Greens and whatever your party becomes, as well as other grassroots socialist parties and independents, as we get through the mire of the next 4 years. And they've gotten over 600,000 members now, haven't they? Amazing. Not members, beg pardon, sign-ups on the website. But I can see the vast majority of those sign-ups transforming into memberships. I certainly know that some people have started regular donations. In fact, the system got jammed at one point. People were take my money, but the system was overwhelmed, and that's brilliant. That's brilliant, because similar to 2015 to 2020, most of Labour's funding came from small donations by members of the public. You know, chucking in a fiver here, a tenner there, and it all adds up. But that sort of movement of people is coming together once more. So now, I guess the conversation over the next 4 years is going to be about how the Greens, this new party, everybody else, works together to get the maximum results, to get the most socialists in seats in the House of Commons. But there's also a whiff of electoral reform in the air whilst I'm on that topic, and that's something that Jeremy Corbyn brought up in a recent interview with Owen Jones. I'll be having a little look at that, as well as talking about the system. Long-term viewers will, of course, know my position, my disdain for first past the post, as I'm sure most of you have as well. So could a real shot at PR also be perhaps in the wind? But we're not made of decades, people, so let's get cracking. JK, good point there. I'll go into that a little bit more. Heard it mentioned that you have to be careful with acronyms when it comes to parties. You don't want to spell out something, you know. Trotters Independent Traders, for example, comes to mind. The campaign for the liberation of itinerant tree dwellers. So let's move on. We'll get things going with the opening comedy clip. Enough of my yakking. As well as the things I mentioned, there's more to come up on the stream, but so you're just going to have to get comfy and see what's happening, people, as we get into Thirsty Thursday. But first of all, we're going to kick off with an impersonator who I've featured once or twice before, but not for a while actually. Tony Lapidus, and he does a very good James O'Brien of LBC radio / podcast, whatever. And this is the latest one from him on that. It's really good. He's got a certain caller on the line. Cough, cough.
It is 11 minutes after 10 and Adolf's calling from Berlin. Adolf, what made you pick up the phone this morning? Crikey, Adolf, if I'd have known you were going to call me and speak to me in German, I would have at least revised some of the material from my flipping O-levels. Oh, do you think I remember how to speak German from all those years ago? I apologise, Adolf. I don't want to cause you any more distress that you're clearly under. As you take your time, you crack on, mate. If I've understood correctly, I'd just like to translate that for my listeners. Adolf has said that he's stuck in a bunker in Berlin currently with his dear wife, Eva Braun. What's going on there, Adolf? I hope you're keeping safe, mate. Deutsches Volk ist beziehen und arbeiten von Nachten und Speiset und 20 und sie und Volkswagen schüttet Front. You see, this is why it's so important that people like you, Adolf, call into the show. I'm so grateful, and I'm genuinely grateful that you're offering an insight which I seldom, I rarely get on a day-to-day basis, but I do get it from my listeners. Adolf has just, I'll translate that for my good listeners, because Lord knows that they're aware that I've been grappling and wrestling with this question. Adolf has asked very poignantly, what is truth? He just says that there's two sides to every single story, and for every action there's a reaction, and some of them are justified. I don't know what Adolf is saying that he expresses no regret for, but I'll take his good word for it. I'm going to assume that he's acting in good faith and with sincerity. But he also said something which I've repeated to all my listeners for months now, and that is that it is possible to hold two thoughts in your head at the same time, even if they're contradictory, and neither negate the other. So thank you so much, Adolf. Just before you go, if you could have a crack at the whip, what would you say is truth? I think that it would certainly be beneficial for our listeners, so that perhaps we can be more sympathetic to your cause. I'm terribly sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off there, Adolf. I didn't know who I was talking to. Keith has just informed me. I genuinely didn't know. So if anything in that phone call has offended any of my listeners, I really apologise. I'm very sorry for it. Thomas Watts is here with your headlines. We move on.
Tony Lapidus there with another great take on there. James O'Brien, brilliant. Wunderbar. A bit heated at the end, didn't it? I think we can get away with that one. Okay, a few people have joined us in the chat whilst that clip was on. Great to see Bloody Teeth. Shaz as well. Hope you're brewing nicely this evening. Doc Davies is in the house as well, with the Palestine flags as well. Awesome stuff. So let's get cracking with articles and things. First up, got the latest, in case you couldn't have an even lower opinion of this guy. Based on what I mentioned on the last live stream, of course he arranged for a 4 AM dawn raid on some of his constituents for raising perfectly legitimate concerns over the conduct of Israel and the UK's complicity, and, you know, just some emails. So along with Chris Henry, he organised raids on the houses. And this time around, it's been revealed by the Canary, which is a great website if you don't check them out. An article by James Wright reveals that Kyle received £66,000 in donations from a tech firm and then handed them a £5 million government contract. Not a bad return. That's not a bad return, is it? This is just like the COVID contracts all over again, but this time with a tech firm. Public Digital is the firm, as reported by the Stark Naked Brief, who are actually the first to break this story. Credit to them as well. Then later, £5 million appeared in a contract to the company. On top of that, his office appointed Public Digital employee Emily Middleton to government on a public salary of over 128k per year. 128 per year. Not bad. While I'm reading this, any pauses are just down to sort of absorption of disgust. I've already read this before I came to you on the stream, but yeah, just again, it's like with a lot of the Gaza stuff, just actually saying it out loud beggars belief. But as the article and the Canary say, there's more. Faculty AI handed the Science Minister £36,000 in May 2024, and then in February this year, his department gave that very company a £2.3 million contract, which is still a very reasonable return. What a coincidence! But it's one of the oldest examples in the book, of course, with corruption in connection with the rich and rich business owners. This isn't a novelty, it is more or less as old as British politics itself. Whilst we're on the topic, before I forget, there was another fantastic video from Double Down News. I know that a lot of you will know who I'm talking about there if you're from the UK. Matt Kenyard, for example, one of their great reporters, George Monbiot, amongst many others. So they've revealed that Labour is still accepting freebies. Keir Starmer specifically holds meetings with other business leaders, for example, in the executive boxes, expensive executive boxes at Arsenal, at the Emirates Stadium, and that's still going on. Even Rishi Sunak would go into the stands to pretend to like sports. It's said that Starmer is genuinely a football fan. I do accept that he is an Arsenal fan. He plays five-a-side football. He has a reputation somewhat for being quite competitive in that field, and I guess you can transfer that ambition and mindset to his political career. The man doesn't like to lose. He certainly doesn't like to quit. And I've brought that up before in the fact how stubborn he is, for example, and also with my little theory about him actually trying to destroy his own political career because he's already had enough. As I'll illustrate even further a little bit later in the stream, he painted himself into this corner even more. Has enemies on all sides. Practically zero public support amongst the working class. And he wants out, but he won't quit. He's just too stubborn for that. Anyway, back to this article, people. It seems that Labour is competing with the Tories for the most toxic donations, although they're currently falling behind, even with Peter Cow's contribution. Since Starmer became leader in April 2020, the Labour Party has accepted 61 donations above £100,000, so that's 6.1 million. From individuals or corporations. That includes 11 donations of £1 million or more from an individual or corporation. In turn, those 11 donations totalled a whopping 23.6 million from just a handful of people, and the corrupting influence is clear, such as via the £4 million from Quadrature Capital. That was one of the ones that came out with the last freebie scandal. Angela Rayner was also involved. The whole rotten lot of them are on the take. And these people aren't just giving it out of the goodness of their hearts. How many times, they want something back. They want these kind of returns. We can turn £36,000 into over £2 million. Turn £66,000 into 5 million. Just a bit more about Quadrature Capital. It's a tax haven based hedge fund with investments in weapons, fossil fuels and private healthcare. What a bunch of saints. Wow, yeah, really, their interests really are for the embetterment of society. Embetterment is a perfectly cromulent word. Labour has appointed Rachel Kite as its climate envoy. That's that screwed then. Who's also co-chair of the advisory board of Quadrature Charitable Foundation. Isn't that reassuring? So just again, Rachel Kite is the climate envoy, and she's also co-chair of the advisory board to Quadrature Charitable Foundation. Have they just sort of dredged the sea to see, how many corrupt people they can gather together in one place at the same time? It reminds us, by contrast though, through Corbyn's leadership, the party received a total of 5 donations above £100,000 from individuals or corporations. As I pointed out earlier, donations from those other than trade unions tended to be small amounts from various members of the electorate and funds given from a mass increase in party membership. And they've already taken, in terms of sign-ups, this new party to that level, as they highlight over 600,000 there, of course. Toxic donations are also an issue with Starmer's health department, where Streeting received 53 grand from a private healthcare recruiter. He then announced 9,000 NHS redundancies. More on Streeting coming shortly.
But shut up, Wesley!
More broadly, lobbyists and firms with private healthcare connections have brought in over £500,000 to Labour's cabinet since 2023, and further, Rachel Reeves received 26 grand from FGS Global. That's a lobbying firm owned by Kohlberg Travis Roberts, a private equity firm, And it's the new NHS landlord after buying up our healthcare infrastructure for 1.6 billion with Stone Peak Partners. So they've got some new, bought some new customers there. Sorry, patients. These firms will now be renting our NHS buildings to us rather than simply owning them ourselves. That's great news. Well done, Wesley. Stand up and take a bow. And Rachel Reeves. So, she doesn't ask much either, you know, to sell our NHS up the river. £27,000 would do that for her. That's about, what, around a third of her annual salary. It's not exactly, you know, she can retire handsomely on that now. 27 grand is all it took. But yeah, sure, just help yourself to it. The article finishes by saying the government should cap donations, and a supplementary option is for political parties to receive state funding as recommended by former senior civil servant Hayden Phillips back in 2006. So that's nearly 20 years ago. Well, it's across the board though. We're just behind the times so much as a country, politically, infrastructurally, technologically. We can't even get together a high-speed train line that starts in London, goes to Birmingham, and then either to Leeds or Manchester. And if it does come, it'll be double or triple the cost projected. Take several times longer than projected. And oh look, all these politicians and private developers got rich all at the same time. And yes, they, quote, you know, create jobs. But most of the staff just get a little bit of the cherry that's on top. They get the whole rest of the cake. Doc, yeah, sold off a long time ago. Most of that during the Thatcher era. John Major continued that, and then Tony Blair. You know, they used, so many things used to have the word British in front of them. You know, rail, gas, blah blah blah. Steel. Anyway, it's all gone. Sold off, privatised. There seems to be a bit of a problem. Connected. There we go. Just disconnected the chat box for a bit there. It's back online though. So yeah, do check out the Canary. That's a very good article there. I can certainly dig that. Good journalism.
Can you dig it?
Alright, moving on. Wesley.
But shut up, Wesley.
Streeting. Throwing in his 2 cents. Throwing his hat in the ring with the proposed nurses' strikes, which of course is within his remit. Let's see what's happening there, people. What shall I go to first? Just quickly browse through the article. A look at the quote from Wesley. It's fighting words that are going to come back to haunt him, which I'll be going into as well, with the latest polling from Ilford North, which is his constituency seat. For now. Spoiler alert. Okay. What's happening? Well, what is it, Phil? I mean, we can't be paying the tech support team per repair. They're on a time-based rate. I'm not made. What do I look like? Petting zoo? You just let me know when we're back live on the air. Got to get back to my awesome viewers. Oh, it's on. It's green. Right. Sorry about that, people. Yes, thanks to the tech team. Just make sure that they put all of the tools back away, please, Phil. We don't want another incident like last time. Thank you very much. Sorry for that brief interlude. Just had to reset. And now we should be able to see the article. He says, finally. Okay. What's my left eye? It's a technical support channel. Oh, sometimes he talks about politics as well. So that picture's taken on a picket line outside University College Hospital a couple of years ago. 91% told them to stick the 3.6% pay increase up their arse. But instead of seeking a higher pay rise, the union wants ministers to reform, not as in the party, to reform the way the NHS contract works, warning too many nurses get stuck on the lowest pay bands which do not reflect their skills. Yeah, 3.6 again, paltry. You should be looking at, in real terms, in the 20s of percent. It's been way behind for far too long. And more than 170,000 people took part in the survey, more than half of the eligible membership, but the government said it was disappointed nurses were not happy with the pay award, but was willing to discuss wider reform in the contract. It comes after resident doctors, which is the new name for junior doctors, took part in their 12th walkout of a long-running pay dispute this week. Nurses begin on band 5 with a starting salary of just over 31,000 after this year's pay rise. Pay at the top of the band reaches nearly £38,000. They said they were not targeting an increase to this year's pay because it was clear from the resident doctor dispute the government was not willing to revisit the pay awards, which were recommended by an independent peer review process. They didn't even meet the recommendations. They're not obliged to. It's an independent body that is just set up to give an honest point of view. This case on pay, but that again is further evidence of how miserly these Tories in red rosettes are. RCN General Secretary Professor Nicola Ranger said her profession feels deeply undervalued, and that's why record numbers are telling the government to wake up, sense the urgency here, and do what's right by them and their patients. Record numbers have delivered this verdict on a broken system that holds back nursing paying careers and hampers the NHS. The Department of Health and Social Care spokeswoman said it was disappointing that RCN members were not happy with their pay rise, given it was above inflation. But that's always been a catch-up game, really. I'm not sure of the exact figures from the last couple of months or so, if I'm being perfectly honest. I've not been able to keep up with this at a granular level for a couple of months or so. But I do know that even if that is true, that it is above inflation, which I obviously doubt. Gotten used to Labour trying to move the goalposts, even in the first 13 months. But that won't be consistent. It will fluctuate, and then next thing you know, they'll be behind in real terms again. A Department of Health and Social Care spokeswoman said it was disappointing. Oh, sorry, I've already read that part. Yeah, this part about saying they're willing to enter discussions. She said the government is clear we can't move any further on headline pay, but we'll work with the RCN to improve their major concerns, including pay structure reform, career progression and wider working conditions. So instead of discussing pay, they'll discuss pretending to offer them other things. Pay structure reform. What does that mean? Changing the parameters for pay bands? But at the end of the day, those at the very bottom are still way behind. I think nurses should probably make about 50k a year minimum. Yeah, they should have maybe some sort of more unilateral pay system. Thanks for the heads up there, Flo. Just refresh that chat for you. Couple of technical problems. It's the Zios, they're coming for me. Listen out for sirens. What's Wesley had to say himself, though? Let's see what's happening. Let's check this out. In an opinion piece, which looks like it's from The Guardian, just based on the typefaces, etc. My message to doctors after 5 days of strikes: work with us. If you go to war with us, you'll lose. Subheading: we value and rely on BMA members on this. We'll stand firm. They're only hurting patients and themselves. So I'm not bringing up the full article there. That pretty much speaks for itself. Okay, well, mentioned on social media earlier, as far as socialists are concerned, he's clearly at war with us, and it's actually him who's going to lose out. It is he who will lose out. Take a look at this latest polling from Ilford North, and you'll see why. It's looking as though Liam Mohammed, who was just 500 votes behind him at the general election, is going to be getting involved with your party. So with that factored in, with the new Corbyn Sultana party, this is what things look like. And I think this is from just yesterday or a couple of days ago. It's pretty hot off the press. So thanks to Josh Houston for sharing this one. The new party will get 36.3% of the votes, which would see them over about 11% in front of Labour, and they take the seat away from Wesley. Tories in third, Reform fourth, and so on. You can kind of see there. I'll just make that a bit bigger on the screen. The two colours are slightly similar, so the lighter pink one, this one, that's Jeremy Corbyn party. Labour there, look at, Jeremy Corbyn party, although it's not been around very long, as you can see, very firm, straight, positive correlation there. Labour taking a massive dip. Look at that. That's the big one in Blackpool. But the biggest drops come at the end. Unfortunately, there has been a surge for reform, but not as much as this party, and we need to see more of this now. Like I said, people have even commented on recent content here on My Left Eye that they planned on voting for this new party instead of reform, even though they voted for reform at the last local elections. So more of that, please. Yes, it'd be very good to see Wesley getting his comeuppance. Of course, he has been quoted as saying that Jeremy Corbyn was dealt with within the Labour Party. Well, look who's getting dealt with now. What goes around comes around, Wesley. I think that's a nice bit of karma right there. I've also remembered a quote that I think it was either Johnson or Gove, might have been, in the run-up to the 2019 election. I remember, I might be paraphrasing here, they said something along the lines of, "We'll be Corbyn free by Christmas." And also, West Streeting famously predicted that Corbyn wouldn't be in Parliament after the last election. He probably even predicted that he'll still be in after the next one. Wrong on both counts, Wesley. Whose idea was it to put a weasel like that in charge of the National Health Service? Oh, it was Keir Starmer's, obviously. So that's a bit of good news. We've got that to look forward to. Oh, nice one there, Mobius, on success of that upload. I don't want to pass me by, I'll try and keep a lookout for that one. Corbyn Obi-Wan meme. I do believe I've come across that one actually. On Kernow Demo, yeah, good channel, great guy. Highly recommend that fella, for anyone that's not familiar. Hello there, Andy Carter. And indeed.
But shut up, Wesley.
Yeah, nice one more as well on the meme. Where we're going to next, people. Yeah, we'll go with this, because, well, it just leads off from what I was just saying in another seamless segue. Just a little bit from Owen Jones's recent interview with Jeremy Corbyn. Say what you will about Owen Jones. Yes, bit of a weather vane. Somewhat, but last year, I think it was, he went as far as to leave Labour, and, well, we'll see. That's not the point I'm making here. It's about the topic of discussion, which is PR, like I said. A lot of people are predicting that whether reform edge it or not in the next general election, there are going to be serious talks about the need to modernise our voting system here in the UK. Well, I'll play the clip first and then we'll have a broader discussion on that, so I really want to know your thoughts, your 2 cents on that topic about electoral reform, about PR, proportional representation. And that's what Owen and Jeremy are talking about here. Let's see what's happening.
And good positions and good agreements in the future. Well, you know what's going to come out of all this? An end to the first past the post electoral system.
So you think that's what, because
that will happen.
Do you think the next election will be a hung parliament basically, and that the balance of power will by enough smaller parties, and that will force a referendum on proportional?
Labour's doing so badly that they're going to need PR, as are the other parties. So I think we'll get.
Yeah, that's the kind of the ironic thing here, that Labour, being so Tory as well, at the same time might feel that they want to bring in PR. Let's just hear a bit more. It's not a very long snippet from this interview. I think the whole thing was about half an hour or so. That's on Owen Jones's channel if you want to check that out.
Some form of proportional representation. The one I would favour would be a constituency system with an added list.
STV? Is that STV?
Yeah, you could do STV on a constituency basis, or you could do the current system on a constituency basis and then have a party add-on. But that, of course, reduces the role of completely independent independence, if you know what I mean. So this got to be worked out. But I do think some form of proportional representation will come. It is absurd that we have a government with the biggest majority ever on the basis of less votes than we got when I led the Labour Party in 2019. And
lowest turnout ever.
And several million less than we got in the 2017 election. Yeah. And that was the loveless landslide that Labour is now occupying all those seats in Parliament with.
2/3 of the seats with 1/3 of the vote.
Yeah.
Very finally, if people have
some good positions and good agreements.
That's pretty much the clip. What they were saying at the end there, yeah. When the Greens had just one seat, they were getting like 1 million votes. Jeremy Corbyn got more votes than Keir Starmer did, Tony Blair did, Ed Miliband, Gordon Brown, of course. And it's just completely unfair now. We now see the Greens with 4 seats. They've managed to double their vote tally to 2 million. What are we saying in the chat about this, people? Yeah, more. I think Corbyn certainly knows his onions where politics is concerned. You know, when he's not getting betrayed by his own party members, which refreshingly we won't have to put up with this time. We don't want to see that. Certainly can't be any of this broad church stuff. Absolutely, you know, every neoliberal will have to be turned away at the door, because there'd be an absolute liability. You know what I'm talking about, people. We can't have another coup. And it was a coup. And it was appalling to see that happen. So whether it's a top-up system or not, or what Corbyn was describing, the votes for individuals as well as parties, which I don't think the British public would take on board as quickly as just regular PR, to be honest. I can see the debates now online. I can see all the trolls and everything. You know, that, oh, this is, you know, they make this ridiculous, complicated system. It's like, it's really not. You could teach this to a child. Oh, there you go. JK, Labour needs a different kind of PR, public relations. Yeah, I don't think Starmer does too well with that. I've got 1 or 2 clips of Starmer coming up, and he's literally melting down on camera at this point. God, he's so, you know, he's back so far into that corner now. He's gone through the wall and into the adjacent building. Andy, you worried that Starmer will ignore the calls that the next general election will be a complete mess of a hung parliament, perhaps? But like Corbyn was alluding to in that clip, it could literally be a small party that swings it. And we've seen it before. Unfortunately, it was on the right. Of course, with the DUP more or less being bribed for their 10 seats at 100 million a pop. Yeah, they got £1 billion for their 10 seats, so that Theresa May could just about form a government after the man you saw in that last clip absolutely destroyed her majority. Andy, great stuff to see you celebrating 13 months of membership. Excellent. And 5 gifted memberships as well. Brilliant stuff. I hope you all enjoy your perks. Solidarity for that. And I'll duly update the count there, which takes us above the 100. Thanks again, Andy. Solidari-Tea, brother. Yes, please big up Andy in the chat. Celebrating the baker's dozen in style. Very much so. Anyone watching not from the UK, that's a little term for the number 13. A baker's dozen. Last one was spoiled. And flags and watermelons in the chat as well. We'll be on to Gaza pretty soon. Just while we're on Corbyn, excuse me, and elections and so on. I've got this from Stats for Lefties, just reminding us, if you do want to back Zach, as it were, who looks almost certain to take the Green Party leadership, then I believe you've got around 52 minutes to sign up if you want to vote in the party elections which start tomorrow. So let's just see how the polls are looking. But it's pretty conclusive, you have to say. And to be honest, he's been everywhere. Everywhere you look, it's Polanski. I've seen a few bits of what Adrian Ramsey and Ali Jones have had to say, but they've been nowhere near as prominent and bold as Zach Polanski looks set to be. And speaking as a non-member, I do think, but a voter, I should say, of the Greens, I do think that's the way that they should be going, especially on the biggest issues and international politics as well. Well, let's say, you know, when the chips are down, if you're in politics, if you're in British politics, if you take a stance against Israel, then things are going to happen. Unfortunately, you know, AIPAC and other lobbies have a global influence, and you are taking on some seriously disturbed people, let's put it that way. And Zach's not afraid. So many are saying that Ramsey and Jones still, like, they're dragging their feet on some issues, that they're not going far enough, they're being too reserved. And I guess I can see that side of the argument. Again, I won't have a vote in this election myself as a non-member. I've never actually voted for the party that I got involved with a few years ago, because they'd never had a candidate in my constituency yet, so that's why I voted the Greens, for anyone who's wondered why that happens. I should have pointed that out earlier, by the way. These are the latest figures, people. Some way ahead, as you can see, based on a sliding scale, as Stats for Lefties remind us. $516 for Polanski, $290 for Ramsey / Jones. What was the other point I wanted to make? Oh, of course, about the dual leadership. Obviously, Zach is standing on his own. Do you think that's something that people want to see more of? Do you think that perhaps dual leadership didn't quite work out? It's strange to say, because with that sort of approach, yes, they have got four seats now in Parliament. They are doing well there, but you have to be honest. You didn't see a lot of Adrian Ramsey, so maybe the party kind of leaning more towards that. I think it's more policy based, myself personally. I did manage to catch one or two of the interviews. It was Turn Left who were interviewing some of the candidates for the deputy positions as well. One of them, Ash, forgotten the surname. That was one of them. But again, like with Zach Polanski, it looks as though there's a pretty clear front runner for the deputy as well. You'll have to forgive me, their names escape me for one moment. It's a hyphenated surname. Maybe someone in the chat will know. I could go and find it on Stats for Lefties, but have to get moving on to other stuff. Ash Ruth, yes, I think that was the deputy. Thanks for that, Andy. Who was interviewed by Turn Left. So who reckons that your party might get towards 1 million sign-ups? Would you rule that out? And how could this work? Because if you look at current membership levels, this already puts your party .uk way ahead of the others, way ahead. Obviously under Starmer, Labour's membership has plummeted. I think it's nearly halved, hasn't it? The Greens will be behind on membership at the moment, and then we'll see what happens if Polanski can encourage more members. That might be a good thing, but how is it going to work on the ballot paper electorally? If we're going to have a socialist government, or at least a good first try, which I would settle for, being realistic. You have to be realistic in these situations. What was my point going to be? It'll come to me. Sorry, just got a bit distracted with something there. Someone who was calling into Kev's stream, who was involved in the Green Party, described Ramsey as weird and always had to disagree. Even when he agrees with you, he disagrees. He said, Well, I'll be checking that out later. Thanks for that. Heads up there, Flo. Yeah, my point, sorry, just a few moments ago, was going to be you don't want people going to vote, scratching their heads over whether to vote for your party or the Greens. There's got to be some way of working out just one socialist candidate on the ballot, and if everybody goes in and votes for it, whether it's Greens, whatever your party will be called, Socialist Independent, let's be honest, most of whom will probably get on board with the new party or other, then they'll go for that. They'll have to go for the one choice, whichever one they have. That's got to be the collective effort for all parties, but when it comes to individual constituencies, we'll have to wait and see. All I can predict is what I just mentioned there, is that every genuine socialist independent, I think, will probably go over to the new left party. If they haven't done or formed it, co-formed it already, of course. And then will come the questions. Will Diane Abbott get involved? Richard Bergen. Tom Watson, normally joking. God, could you imagine? Arguably the biggest backstabber last time out when Corbyn stood for election. His own deputy. His own deputy. Okay, people. Let's see where we're moving on to next. Yeah, we'll get on to Gaza now. There's been an envoy who's been talking to Trump today. I'll do that in just a moment. I'm going to play this video, though I'll try and start off with something a little more positive. Yes, Pal Action have won the right to challenge the decision to prescribe them as a terrorist group, which is good news. And it was Novara Media did an interview with the founder Huda Amori. Where's that clip? There it is. Yeah, so here's a little bit from that interview. I think the full thing is still up on Novara if you want to check that out. So, Huda Amori from Pal Action.
But we've also seen a huge campaign driven largely by Defend Our Juries, in which ordinary people have chosen to break the law week after week, leading to the arrests of over 100 British people who've simply held up signs saying, and I quote, "I oppose genocide,
Sorry, since this interview, it's now actually gone over 200. Just wanted to point out 200 arrests, some of them just for having Palestine flags, some of them amongst their number, friends of mine as well.
Support Palestine action." How's it felt to see that unfolding while your group has been under this prescription order?
It's really draconian to see all these people getting arrested for holding up placards, but this is the ridiculous nature of these laws and the draconian nature of these laws. But it has been, I have to say, uplifting to see people stand up for freedom of speech, stand up for what they believe in, for pulling it out there, because this is essentially thought crimes that they're being persecuted for. They're and to see fight against it in that way. And also it had a huge impact on the legal case. Not necessarily, one of the reasons I don't think that they went out to do this, but it was a huge factor in deciding to go for judicial review, allowing us to go for judicial review rather than the statutory scheme of POAC, which is meant to be a very long and drawn-out process, very secretive process, which would leave us in limbo as prescribed for, potentially years, even if in the end they deemed it unlawful that we were prescribed in the first place. The damage would have already been done.
Completely true, and it's almost bizarre that this is actually happening on the anniversary of another case in, when was it, 1996. 4 women were acquitted in court for a non-violent protest at an Air Force base. It was the Falcon aircraft that were the target of the action, and almost falling on this very day, way back in 1996. So it just goes to show the change in standards, the change in attitudes, just how much of a knee-jerk reaction this was from Yvette Cooper, whether it was of her own devising or whether it was at the behest of lobby groups. It was obviously an affront to justice in taking that decision, and I really hope that they win this. So I hope that people really get behind them.
But because...
sorry, just one other quick point. This now enters the realm of, as she's describing, what could potentially be a long and complicated process, and it's in certain cases deliberately made to be that way to make it more difficult to actually fight for your rights to have justice done, unfortunately. But I'm certain that in Palestine Action's case, the resilience and strength will be continuous throughout. Yeah, not a doubt in my mind.
Of partly because of this campaign, one of the main considerations was a judicial review means that the order would have been unlawful from the moment it was implemented, which means that all these people who've been subsequently arrested, if we win at judicial review, will then not have to have individual cases tried in the courts with different results, arguing whether or not the prescription was lawful. And this would basically mean that those arrests, subsequent arrests, are most likely unlawful if the prescription is quashed.
Indeed, so it's kind of like it's Lord of the Rings rules, If this gets quashed, then surely, logically, all of those other cases have to get quashed as well. Because some of them, as I said, were simply for holding up flags. Others were for expressions of direct support for the group after they'd been prescribed. That is what the Defend Our Juries protests are all about. And there are going to be more of those protests coming up. So, as I said, could be more people to that tally of 200 at the moment, which would be, again, you can see future generations being taught this in history. And if they do a good, honest accounting, they'll say, oh, and here in this country, we arrested 200, 300, 400. I mean, how far is it going to go? It's getting ridiculous at this point. Well, this many peaceful protesters. The same way that they imprisoned, Nelson Mandela and many other famous protesters. The same way that people like Mahatma Gandhi were oppressed. Who defeated the entire British Empire with non-violent methods as well. Although philosophically, he wasn't actually a full 100% pacifist. He did actually point out that violence can be justified or necessary in certain circumstances. He managed to avoid that and defeat the entire empire peacefully, which is obviously why he's so historically famous. And it's the same thing here. This is the way that this will be taught when we look back, which can only make you ashamed of your country. So yeah, make sure that your position on this is very well known, as I'm sure that we all do, because one day history will look back on us, and it's a lot easier to do now that we're in the communications age, you know, social media, so on and so forth. This isn't going to be like the old days of uncovering, you know, your great-grandfather's diaries or whatever. We display our lives in real time, so we have to display our demonstration and protest in real time as well, and be relentless in our message. That's more or less the end of the interview. Sorry, don't know why I was about to play some more of that. So I wish Huda all the best. God, did I just... No, that's okay. With the, I wish her the best in the appeal. Yeah, moving on. Just point, I've not actually been down to any of the recent Defend Our Juries protests. I'm a supporter of Defend Our Juries. You'll find a lot of cross-pollination with Youth Demand as well as Just Stop Oil there as well. But suffice to say, like I mentioned, it's going to continue. The demonstrations are going to continue from other organisations as well. Large amounts of the protest community are now getting behind this. Not just Palestine as a whole, but the draconian legislation that's come with it. Just want to have a very quick look, just the bullet points, because this was still ongoing when I came to you on the stream. This meeting between Donald Trump and US Special Envoy to the Middle East is going to be visiting Gaza on Friday. He's met with Benjamin Netanyahu, so just bring this up. I think I got that the right way around. Yeah. So it's Whitcroft meeting with Netanyahu. Are you taking a pair of handcuffs? An arrest warrant? We got him. What's, you know, you like those kind of moments, don't you? The US of America. Oof, 91 killed today while sourcing aid. Awful. I'll just read that bit there. It's significant that Whitcroft has travelled to the region because there's growing pressure on the Trump administration over the conditions in Gaza, the fact that starvation is gripping the territory. Trump said earlier this week that there is real starvation in Gaza, and it's something he's been pressed on. More than 1,000 people being killed seeking aid. 1,373. But they dodged questions on the negotiations. They've stopped for now, haven't they? So that visit's going to take place tomorrow. if I'm not with you on a stream tomorrow, then we can go through some of that on the Sunday live stream. 43 is according to the IDF. Well, it's not even worth reading out then. Oh yes, of course. Canada announced that they're going to be recognising Palestinian states. I don't know if they've done the same, you know, caveat thing as the UK did, as Keir did. You know, there were footnotes and asterisks. France, of course, Portugal are considering it. Spain, Ireland and Norway took the step last year. Come on, keep up. Hoping to exert diplomatic pressure to secure a ceasefire in Gaza. It's currently recognised as a state by 147 members of the 193 member states. And someone who's actually put this pretty succinctly is this fella right here, Lord Sumpton. So when it comes to the consideration, if you even need to consider it, this is legally why Palestine should be recognised as a state.
I'm afraid that the letter that she has signed is quite plainly wrong. I agree with the four criteria for the existence of a state, but it seems completely clear that Palestine has all of those characteristics. It has a defined territory, namely the old mandatory Palestine minus the territory of Israel. It has a settled population, although they've been much moved about by Israeli bombs.
Well, the border itself has been moved about as well. You said minus the territory of Israel there, but if you look at 1948 maps compared to now, let's just say there's somewhat of a discrepancy between the amount of square mileage that Israel takes up. It's worth pointing that out as well. I think this is in relation to some Zionist who was condoning Starmer for recognising or considering or pretending to recognise the state of Palestine, just for context. So let's just go through a little bit more. Welcome to viewers from Kevin Logan joining us on a raid. Please hit thumbs up on the stream as you come in. You're all very welcome here. If you don't know the channel already, this is My Left Eye, all about politics and society from a left-wing point of view. Just taking a look at a clip from Lord Sumpton. It's only a brief clip. I will just skip it back a bit, actually. Essentially, going through the no-brainer as to why Palestine should rightly be recognised as a state.
What she has signed is quite plainly wrong. I agree with the four criteria for the existence of a state, but it seems completely clear that Palestine has all of those characteristics. It has a defined territory, namely the old mandatory Palestine minus the territory of Israel. It has a settled population, although they've been much moved about by Israeli bombs. It has a government. You may not like the government. It may be a terrorist government, but it is a government.
And that's a very good point as well, because we're very sort of, as a nation, the UK, as well as America, very selective about who we do and don't see as being terrorists, as being what's the word I'm looking for? As being fit to run a government. But at the end of the day, it's not our decision to sort of change borders on maps or whatever, whether we like it or not.
And it has the capacity to conduct international relations. It was recognised last July by the International Court of Justice, which is the highest authority on international law, as having a right to statehood. It's recognised by 147 out of 183 members of the United Nations. It has relations with all of those that recognise it. Traditionally, this is a question of fact. Palestine is a state, and it seems to me that the sooner that we acknowledge the facts and recognise it, the better.
You know, could you put it any better? No. Just 4 criteria need to be met, and they very clearly meet all 4 of them. It's as simple as that, people. Now that's an answer that you should have heard in a separate interview with someone else that I'm going to play you now. And it's Starmer, who's had a lot of pushback from the Zionists since he said he is pretending to recognise the state of Palestine. Remains to be seen. We're waiting until September comes to find out whether he's bluffing or not. But he was put on the spot by an ITV interviewer. And I've got a couple of clips here of Starmer in recent interviews, and you really can tell that the heat is on at this point. This guy is screwed. You know, nobody likes him now at this point. He's managed to piss off everybody, even the Zionists. Take a look at this one, people. I'll play the ITV one first. There's something else I want to show you, but then the other clip of him this week. Bearing in mind, he's also met in person with Trump this week and talk about being pulled from one side to the other on your apparent principles. Let's take a look at this on ITV. He almost dies when he gets asked this.
Your announcement that you may recognise a Palestinian state, you are getting backlash from all corners, from Benjamin Netanyahu, from former hostages, from now a group of top British lawyers who say it may break international law. What's your response to all of them?
Well, look, I mean, I'm particularly...
Just say anything, say words, just say words.
Listen to the hostages, Emily Dwari, who I have spoken to. I've met her mother a number of times. And
there's number 1 on the list of sausages. Go to the sausages. I'm always particularly, think of something, anything, you know. Sausages. Talk about the sausages. That's what this is all about.
We've been through the most awful experience for Emily and for her mother, and that's why I've been absolutely clear and steadfast that we must have the remaining hostages released. That's been our position throughout.
Sausages.
And I absolutely understand the unimaginable horror that Emily went through. Alongside that, we do need to do everything we can to alleviate the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza, where we are seeing, you know, children and babies starving for want of aid which could be delivered. And that is why I've said that unless things materially change on the ground, and we'll have to assess this in September.
Well, you have to say, you know, you say you're doing it because Palestine is a state. You point out the criteria that Lord Sumpton did. And you say that this is absolutely necessary for a pathway to peace. It's as easy as that. He's absolutely jumping through hoops there.
We will recognise Palestine before the United Nations General Assembly in September.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Because what if there is some sort of ceasefire and then Israel break it and you are somehow blind to that, you ignore that, and you say, oh, well, you know, we did have a go at it, but now look what we've done. We've managed to get this ceasefire. I wouldn't rule that out, people. I wouldn't rule that out. So just quick look at that opening moment where he was he was so stuck.
Your announcement that you may recognise a Palestinian state, you are getting backlash from all corners, from Benjamin Netanyahu, from former hostages, from now a group of top British lawyers who say it may break international law. What's your response to all of them?
Well, look, I mean, I particularly listened to the hostages, Emily Dwari, who...
He is particularly listened to. Whatever that means. Yeah, just that point about international laws. That is really desperate. That is really desperate. If you want to talk about breaking international law, just go for a walk round Rafah, or what's left of it. Just do the entire Gaza Strip and the West Bank, and yeah, come back and see what's happening.
I have spoken to.
I won't watch all the rest of that. Yeah, he looks like he was caught in the headlights, like a frightened rabbit. There's another Starm clip though. I just want to play this first. Even though it might just be for ratings, it appears that Piers Morgan might have come around a little bit on the issue. He's still a massive POS, by the way, but even he managed to lay into an Israeli spokes on his show, which actually seemed to stun the guests. They're very well known for interrupting when they're being interviewed and not having the truth spoken, but in this case Morgan managed to go on for quite a bit. So let's see what's happening there. Just once again, I think it's probably his tweets where public opinion is. You know, he was spreading the babies in ovens bullshit a couple of years ago.
Actually, I'll tell you what I think I'll wake up to in 20 years' time, the way things are going, if no one stops Netanyahu and his far-right government, is we're going to see Palestinians have been removed from Gaza completely. We will see that there has been an ethnic cleansing that happened as the world stood by and watched. And the reason I believe that now is because I'm listening to people like Smotrich, who is one of the most senior members of that government and cannot be as readily dismissed as so many like to on the pro-Israeli side. And you're also seeing what is happening on the ground, where, as you say, 77% of territory has now been destroyed. I mean, literally obliterated. And this is why Israel doesn't want to allow journalists in to see the sheer scale of what has happened, because then it would be apparent to the world what has actually gone on here. And there's only one reason why government like Israel in this kind of situation doesn't want journalists on the ground operating independently.
You can only tell that that isn't a mannequin on the right-hand side by the fact that it blinks every now and then. I think we know that he won't absorb or recognise any of this. I've only got Piers Morgan's line here. I've not got this spokes response. In fact, I'm not even sure which day this week the clip's from. But for what it's worth, if you want to go and check it out in full, feel free to. I'm just playing this part right here, but look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Because they know they're doing stuff they don't want the world to see. Because when it suits Israel, when they wanted to take the world's media to see some food trucks the other day, oh, no problem. In you come. When after October the 7th, they wanted the world to see the horrors of the kibbutz, quite rightly, no problem. In you come. But when it comes to journalists every single day, people I know, great, brave war correspondents from CNN, BBC, Reuters and others, when they make all their applications to be allowed to do their job in Gaza, no, 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 no. One or two friendly people who are very pro-IDF are allowed to go in for a few hours with the IDF and write very positive things about what they see. But you are not allowing well, not you, but the Israeli government is not allowing independent journalists to do their jobs because they don't want the world to know what they're doing. And that's what's going to happen in 20 years' time. It will turn out, I believe, and I hate the fact that this is almost certainly what's going to happen, there will have been an ethnic cleansing of the Gazans. They will no longer, if this carries on, be in Gaza. And there will be widespread evidence of war crimes.
As much as it pains me, Piers Morgan speaketh the truth here. And again, this guy hasn't budged a millimetre apart from the eyelids. Maybe reserving all of his energy for hate and war crimes. Who knows? Who knows? I can only speculate at this point. But historically, this is the way we're heading. I almost couldn't believe it a couple of days ago when Netanyahu said that Gazans can't be starving or dying of starvation because if there were, there wouldn't be any Gazans, when you bear in mind that in the last 2 years alone, probably around 10% of the population has been killed. Who knows how many times more injured as casualties, again, just in the last 2 years. So at that rate, and when you look at the maps, again, from 1948 to now, that is the course, that is the path that they're heading on. And we don't want to be talking about Palestine in the past tense. We don't want to be talking about Palestinians in the past tense either, because that would be an inexcusable historical event that would see future generations asking the same questions we do here in the 2020s about previous conflicts. You know, how was it allowed to happen? How were these atrocities allowed to take place? Never again means now.
Including, how did 20,000 children die? Is it true that children were being used as target practice by the IDF? As a British doctor said on British national television 3 days ago, literally used for target practice. Now, I'm sure if we ask the IDF about that, they'll say, we're launching an investigation. We're launching an inquiry. Actually, this doctor sounds like he's pro-Hamas. Actually, blah, 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 blah. The same thing that is said every time, because journalists aren't allowed in to verify either way. And when you block the journalists, you... Actually, I'll tell you...
So it's a bizarre feeling of opposite emotions at the same time to see Piers Morgan essentially hitting the nail on the head there. Again, I'm not a fan of him or his brand of journalism. I think this is weather vanery of the highest form. I think there's a sprinkling of sympathy for his fellow journalists as brought up there. Whether he's had a genuine awakening moment or not, who knows? I'm not going to speculate over that, using up too much time on the live stream. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on his points. We won't hear back from the Israeli spokes, but you know how that goes. You can always go on his, was it Uncensored channel? If you want. Go on incognito mode though, you don't want the you don't want the algorithm. Oh, you're a Piers Morgan fan now. Here, check this out. Piers Morgan is double. Good one there, Underhill. Came from the Mirror World and he replaced him. It's as good as he gets. Yeah, it's not like the evil twin, it's the morally just twin. The good twin. Let them fight. Yeah, there's some Superman 3 shit going on there. Interesting theory. Yeah, Shaz, I'm slightly intrigued as to what has changed his mind. I say slightly. I'm not particularly going to obsess over him. Let's remember he's done some awful things as a journalist. He hacked a dead girl's phone, for fuck's sake. You know, and made up stories about the British Army during the Iraq invasion as well. No saint. And on this issue, of course, he's come from the other side of the fence. He initially spread misinformation about what went on during October 7th, 23, and since. Candace Owens as well, as apparently, yeah, good point. Saw a video yesterday, I think it was an Insta video or a TikTok that was being shared around, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Are you sure this isn't a deep fake or something like that? Is this artificial intelligence at work? Is this the real Candace Owens? Apparently it was. Yeah. Suddenly talking sense. Is some of it due to, obviously, weather vane has come up. I've mentioned that. But also, looking forward, I think it's undeniable now which way it's heading. The whole world is coming together over this. And we will be victorious, people. We will see a free and recognised state of Palestine. And that would be my opinion from a neutral standpoint, even if I wasn't biased, obviously, in favour of recognising Palestine as a state. Thank you very much for the flags. They're in the chat. And watermelons popping up as well. So I said I had another clip of Keir Starmer. Just another one. It's a close-up of, I think it's a clip, the same clip, that I used on Tuesday when Trump was talking about windmills. Because there is going to be a huge offshore wind farm being built in Scotland, which Trump was referring to here. But it zooms in on Starmer, and I think this one might be even worse than the ITV clip we saw a little bit ago. Just watch him squirm. We mentioned how we sort of noticed it on Tuesday.
So today...
It's not that one. This is...
No windmills. But if you look in another direction, you see windmills. When we go to Aberdeen...
So I'm just getting the audio there. Let's go again.
No windmills. But if you look in another direction, you see windmills. When we go to Aberdeen...
Okay, I can't just play the audio because it's a visual thing. Just why that's happening. A bit of a glitch. 1 second. Bring in the repair primates. Right, I'll be right back with you people. One moment. No, Phil, get the wrench off the, get it away from the glass. Okay, good. I think we're back on now. Okay, good work, repair primates. Let's, yeah, the clip's working now.
No windmills. But if you look in another direction, you see windmills. When we go to Aberdeen, you'll see some of the ugliest windmills you've
It's got a face like a fucking beetroot.
ever seen. They're the height of a 50-story building. And you can take...
Does orange clash with purple? Really look at this, because he knows as well as we do what Trump was on about. That's ridiculous. For a start, they're not windmills, they're wind turbines. Jesus Christ, they're not attached to a grinding mechanism to make flour. Trump. It's energy. They're turbines, wind turbines. Windmills. What's he going to be calling them next? The woke fans?
1,000 times more energy out of a hole in the ground this big. This big. It's called oil and gas. And you have it there, the North Sea. This big, that nobody would even see. You can take 1,000...
You're watching the awkward expression of the year awards. These are the candidates. I mean, look at this. Donald, you're embarrassing me in front of the cameras. Please shut the fuck up.
times more power because the wind is intermittent. It doesn't work. It's extremely expensive. All the windmills are made in China. They used to be Germany and China. Now they're mostly in China.
What's he got written on his hand? Oh, what was it I wrote down earlier? When Donald Trump starts going off on a fact-free tangent. Oh no, I got all sweaty earlier. It's gotten smudged. I can't read the last bit. What do I do? What do I do? He does actually look as though he's awkwardly trying to find an assistant to get some kind of visual signal for what to do. You know, it's all train and all train for these moments. What was the one he was doing the other day? Where he was putting his arm like straight across the other one. Maybe he should try knocking that one out as a distraction technique.
They all come out of China. They say that the blades, which are carbon,
oh no, he's starting on China now.
Fiber. You can't bury. Oh, okay, you can't bury. What are you going to do? Dump them in the ocean?
What? Like you're already dumping oil into the fucking ocean? What is he talking about? What is he talking about?
Because they only last a certain period of time. And remember, a windmill has a life of 8 years, especially when they're out in the salty sea. And they.
So you put up a new one, which is like quick as fuck. Do you know how long it takes to build a fucking oil refinery? Let alone discussing environmental damage and so on and so forth. Ludicrous arguments. Someone earlier was, apparently, tongue-in-cheek, these wind turbines are going to kill more birds than the effects of climate change, according to some people who perhaps are on the wrong medication at the moment.
Start to rot and to rust. You're going to have to replace them. It's very hard to replace them.
No, it's not.
Wind needs massive subsidy.
Even Keith almost said it. Is that what? He's just waiting for the moment where he can interrupt and maybe just sprinkle a little bit of reality into this. Well, actually, Donald, as he goes on, but he just can't find the gap. He can't get a word in edgeways, literally. But you can see that he wants to, but instead, he's just turned into a human beetroot. He's already blended in to the red on the flag behind him. He's going to go full purple any moment.
You are paying in Scotland and in UK and all over the place where they have massive subsidies to have these ugly monsters all over the place. So I've restricted windmills in the United States. Now, a couple we have.
He wants to talk on ugly monsters as well, for now.
You know, the poor stupid people at the beginning, they approved them, so they have their full approvals. But I've restricted windmills in the United States because They also kill all your birds. You know, they wipe out. You know, it's interesting. If you
Yeah, he's getting started on the birds thing as well. They're not mills. They're not. It's not a mill. It makes energy. It makes electricity, Donald. Not fucking flour. You don't. It's not attached to a stone disc which goes around and grinds. Oh, don't go to Holland. Don't go to Holland, Donald. Whatever you do. No, in fact, do. In fact, do. I'm sure they'd like to give you their opinion on it. You started leaning forward now. And what's that expression? What's the look on this man's face all about? I'll just zoom in here, people. Philip, zoom and enhance. He's, oh my God. He's like, what have I done? What have I done? Obviously, apart from sitting next to and just shaking hands with and having diplomatic relations with a known sex criminal. But how did you end up in this conversation? How did you end up having to listen to all of this dumbfounded garbage that's coming out of Trump's mouth right now? That face there, he looks like he wants out. That's the get me out of politics face, like I was talking about earlier. Maybe one reason he wants everybody to hate him is so that he can just get out of there. He's thinking, should I just get up and run? Should I run out of the room, out of the building, to the airport? Get me on the next fucking plane out of here. Oh no, you're in my country. Well, you're in the UK. Fucking hell.
You shoot a bald eagle in the United States, they put you in jail for 5 years. And yet windmills knock out hundreds of them. They don't.
Grandad, it's time for bed. It's like way past bedtime, Grandad. Come on now. You know, they give you 5 years if you shoot a bald eagle. Yeah, sure thing, Grandad. What's this little pipe thing here? What's that weird smell?
Do anything. You explain that. So it's a very expensive energy. It's a very ugly energy.
It's, yeah, setting up a huge oil refinery is, the network thereof is hugely cheaper than... How can he even... And the leaning onto the chair. Just the face. It's just the face.
And we won't allow it in the United States.
So we believe in a mix.
Oh, he's got it. He got it in. This is the end of the clip, though. He does go off on some. So we believe. How to politely say that the last 2 minutes of what you just heard were complete and utter poppycock, without insulting your air quotes guest. Yeah. Well, we believe in a mix. Oh, they don't like that word. They don't like that word on the right in America. Mix. What are you talking about? That was some face going on right there, people. What are you saying? Yes, Shaz, the leaning, the red-facedness, the leaning, his hands. I was only semi-joking when I did the thing about him having something written on his palm. You could see him looking at his, sort of, a very quick glancing look at his palm there. Who knows? Maybe Trump stink-palmed him. I shouldn't have really gone there. This is a serious channel about politics and society from a left-wing point of view. I can see that all the concurrent viewers have hit the thumbs up on the stream. That's awesome. Do give us a share on your social media as well, people. Shout out time for all the members here on My Left Eye. Now at 102 out of the target of 250. Thank you very much, people, for the gifted memberships on tonight's stream. That's the best way of helping to support the channel. Of course, if you're watching back later on, please consider using super thanks. Or if you can't use any of the channels through YouTube, check out the Buy Me a Coffee page link in the channel description of this live stream. Thank you very much, people, for your ongoing support. Please do follow the channel on social media as well, using the handle @MyLeftEyeUK, preferably on Blue Sky. But we're also still on Twitter and a developing platform called Mastodon. I guess whilst I'm looking for a raid, I'm just going to replay my little Starmer announcement mashup vid from yesterday, just to keep you entertained for a few moments.
So today, as part of this process towards peace, I can confirm the UK will recognise the State of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September.
Wait for it!
Unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza, agree to a ceasefire, and commit to a long-term sustainable peace.
What? You gotta be fucking kidding.
Alright, people, we're all set for a redirect for a raid as we get towards the end of proceedings here. Going to be going into No Justice, so make sure you give a thumbs up there and subscribe if you don't already when we get there. We better make tracks quickly, actually, people. I suspect it might be a short but sweet visit over there at this hour. So yeah, I'll be back with you later in the week with more live streams. In the meantime, take care, everybody. My Left Eye, I'll be seeing you soon. Free Palestine and power to the people.
Socialists,